After fighting your way through a bunch of lava salamanders, you claim the Heavy Iron Key, allowing you to access the second DLC of Dark Souls 2, the Brume Tower. Upon entering, you're immediately shown the full size of the tower. Just like in the first DLC, you're given the chance to look at the area before going inside and exploring it. After traveling on foot on giant iron chains, you arrive at the top of the Brume Tower, where you meet the hottest girl in the game, literally, Nadalia, will harass you during the entirety of your exploration in the Brume Tower, every time using different kinds of abilities. Here, she's just casting pyromancies to try and kill you. Use the smelter wedge item you conveniently picked up at the beginning to destroy this idol. You'll need a total of 12 of those to destroy all of Nadalia's parts, and then get her soul. However, the game doesn't give you all of them at the beginning, so you will need to explore a bit to find the other spot. I like this mechanic. Fighting a reoccurring enemy that requires a certain amount of an item to be gone for good is great if it encourages exploration, which is the case here. You only have to find one other spot to be able to destroy all the Ashen Idol, so it's not very tedious. Unlike, adding something that requires like 100 times the items and you have to farm it off of mobs, or you have to find 20 different spots to get all the items. Here it's just 12 items, 2 hiding spots, and the first one is literally right in front of you when you arrive. There are still problems with this. If you miss the second spot, it can be problematic, since you need at least 4 of them to be able to fight the boss at the bottom of the Brume Tower. On the other hand, I said it encourages exploration. However, since there are only one other hiding spot, if you find it immediately, well then it doesn't encourage exploration that much. So I think like 3 or 4 hiding spots would have been the sweet spot to it, pun intended, in the sense that you might miss one of them, but if you find like 1 or 2 of the other hiding spots, you can still have enough smelter wedges to kill the Ashen Idols at the bottom of the tower. Additionally, you could also add more smelter wedges than what you actually need, so you are 100% guaranteed to have enough no matter what you do. However, if you do this, it doesn't encourage exploration that much. This is the same problem as in the Shadow of the Archer DLC. To complete the DLC, and especially fight the final boss, you need absolutely to have the Shadow Tree Blessing up to max level, and it's pretty hard to find them all, which is annoying. In Dark Souls 2's case, I think the best thing would be to hide the 12 items separately and not necessarily put them in very hard spots to get. So for example, as you're going down the tower, every time you find a new Ashen Idol you need to destroy, you know that there's a smelter wedge hidden nearby. Now let's talk about the layout of the Brume Tower. I think this area has the best layout in the entire game. It's basically Earthen Peak, but with 3 times the content and the size. There are more connectivity between all the floors of the tower. It has more interesting challenges, they're better. Overall, it's basically the Earthen Peak, but you crank it up to 11. Starting from top and going all the way down is the exact opposite of the Earthen Peak, and being able to see the bottom from the upper floors kinda builds up hype. I say kinda because we never see or hear about the entity residing at the bottom until we come face to face with it. It's exactly like in Elden Ring before you fight Malenia. You can see the arena where you're going to fight her, but you don't see her herself. So there's a form of hype, but not as much as what you got with Duke Freya, for example. Anyway, let's talk about the enemies now. Outside of the Ashen Idols, you'll meet a new type of soldiers. The soldiers that are here are hiding under the ash, covering the ground, and will come out to kill you when you pass by. Sometimes they will come out before you pass on the spot they are hiding, and sometimes they will wait for you to pass by and then they'll come after you and try to sneak up behind you, to backstab you, while you may be fighting other enemies in front, which I think works great in a Souls game in the sense that you may die because of that once or twice, but then you're aware of where they are and you don't fall into the trap again. It's a form of trap in a way, and it works well here. Those soldiers are easy to kill, but they deal a lot of damage, so you better be careful not to be overwhelmed by them. Next, the barrel guys. Those weird creatures are carrying gunpowder around without their safety equipments. This is unacceptable behavior, and I shall call their manager immediately. Seriously though, I really like this enemy. It forces you to pay attention to them as they can explode very easily and will deal gigantic damage to both you and other enemies as well, which is the most interesting part about them. Trying to maneuver around them to kill other enemies without risking to go on a direct confrontation was really fun. Next, we have the Iron Soldiers, gigantic, headless soldiers with lava dripping off one of their arms. I don't know, sometimes it seems to switch between arms, it's kinda weird. Not only is that enemy challenging to fight, the lava dripping is a really cool addition as it makes the fight harder and forces you to pay attention to your positioning, and it changes depending on what attack he is using. There are two other enemies in this section. One is a wizard shooting lightning bolts, teleporting and stabbing you with its daggers. The other is an iron archer with a sword, able to move in very unconventional ways to trick your brain so you miss your rolls. The wizards are annoying. There are two other enemies in this section. One is a wizard shooting lightning bolts, and the other is an iron archer with a sword, and it's able to move in very unconventional ways. It like tricks your brain so you miss your rolls basically. The wizards are annoying, especially because they'll spam their lightning spells from far away, and their melee attacks are not fun to interact with, like it teleports and it attacks you with its daggers from behind. It's not that great because since they are ranged enemies, once you get close to them, they shouldn't be that hard to fight, and here it's not very hard, but it's still a bit annoying. I'm not a big fan of those enemies. It could have been better. Right now it's just a pain in the butt, honestly. Same for the archers. They are not much of a threat on their own, contrary to the wizards, but they will often find a way to land a hit on you, which is just super annoying. Like, no matter what you're doing, from afar they can shoot you, from close they can use their sword in such a weird way. Like, no matter what you do, they will hit you, unless you spam the shield all the time and play it very safely, which it's okay to do, but there are a lot of them, and sometimes you're kind of in a hurry because you have other enemies around. So the worst part is that some Ashen Idols can make them come back to life infinitely. Yeah. Lastly, there is a small tower next to the main building where you will meet explosive undead corpses. Yeah, I don't know how to name these guys. Basically, they have no legs, they're on the ground, and they can explode. Like, they can self-destruct, quite simply. So we can call them like self-destruct, legless soldiers, corpses, husks, I don't know. Those guys are crazy cool, honestly. They're stuck on the ground without their legs, and they will try to jump on you to kill you. That's pretty weird because they have no legs. How do they jump? Seriously. Anyway, when their health is low enough, they will start the auto-destruction, okay? At first, when you meet those enemies, there are torches that you can light when they explode. That's a pretty funny trick. I really like this enemy. Seeing them blow up and kill their friends was really funny. And I'll shout out to the one in the elevator at the end. Thanks to one of the messages left in front of the elevator by another player, I was able to not get caught, but imagine you get stuck in the elevator with the guy and he suddenly explodes. Now, let's talk about my favorite parts and what makes this place so good. First, the rooms. So, it's kind of the opposite of big castles, like Drangleic Castle, or as you will see in the next video, Eleum Loyce castles. Well, the rooms feel kind of bland, you know, the walls are all the same, there's not much decoration. Here it's the opposite. Every room feels unique, with its own design and challenges inside. The enemies are reused several times, of course, but they are always mixed up in different ways, and the addition of Ashen Idols, which don't respawn, also add to that. Some rooms have spikes on the wall and a bull statue breathing fire in the middle. Some have 4 doors leading to suicidal boulders or to freedom. Some contain an Ashen Idol using one unique ability to make the room more challenging, like it makes the Iron Archer respawn and it curses you. The area also has good shortcuts, making it not annoying at all to come back when you die. One area, a small tower linked to the main tower, contains stairs going down in the dark and an invader ready to do anything to kill you. You will see that guy again, by the way. Of course, there is also an Ashen Idol cursing you, and as I said before, it also revives infinitely the Iron Archers and a bunch of other enemies around to make the encounters as challenging or annoying as possible. Overall, this area is probably the best in the game and would be one of the best area in any other game of this genre. Overall, this area is probably the best in the game and one of the best in the genre. Now, let's talk about Iron Passage, which I think is the most controversial part of the Brume Tower. You thought the Cave of the Dead was too easy. No worries, the guys at FromSoft got you covered with this area. Welcome to Iron Passage, a place where you will die more to the run back than to the boss at the end. Amazing. To reach the end of the tunnel, you must fight dozens of soldiers, while a bunch of ranged enemies are puncturing your ass. Luckily, you can take the second secret path, where you just have to fight the archers, wizards, and circus clowns. I don't know what those guys are. Once at the end, you get to fight the smelter demon again. Yeah! Only this time, he's covered in magical peace and has different timings on his attacks. Great. Now, as good of a boss as the Smelter Demon is, having to go through the Iron Passage every time you die to it is painful. Chaos of the Dead wasn't that bad, but Iron Passage definitely deserves its reputation. The clowns are especially annoying to deal with. They make you fat roll, they can block your healing, they're really strong. Like, just remove those guys and the area is still challenging, but it feels better and not as frustrating, honestly. I like the possibility of going through two different paths, though. I think this is good, because one of the most frustrating part of dying every time is you have to go back through the same path. But since here there are two paths, you can change from time to time. So, it kinda kills that bad feeling of having to go through the same path every time. To sum this place up, Iron Passage has a fitting name. It's tough, even a bit frustrating at times. Although the boss at the end is good, and having two possible ways to go at the beginning is great, especially if you want to change your run back to escape the boredom of going through the same one all the time. Now that this is covered, let's talk about the last reason Brume Tower is the best area in Dark Souls 2, the bosses, outside of Smelter Demon, Fume Knight, and Eleum. And we're gonna talk about Fume Knight first. Those two bosses are so good, they are literally 2 ranks ahead of any other DS2 boss on a tier list, aside from the other DLC bosses, of course. Now, as I said, we're gonna start with Fume Knight, so before the battle even starts, you have to destroy the 4 Ashen Idols protecting him around his arena. I talked about this thing earlier. I didn't refer to him as Fume Knight, I said like the entity, the thing at the bottom. But yeah, once you reach the bottom of the Brume Tower, you have to fight this guy. If you don't have 4 smelter wedges with you to destroy the Ashen Idols, you will need to go back up to find the second spot. Because trying to fight Fume Knight with the Ashen Idols around, making him stronger and healing him as well during the fight, it's just straight up impossible. Not impossible if you have really insane weapons with a lot of buffs on them. You can out-damage the Ashen Idol's healing, but you also have to know the boss beforehand. If it's your first time fighting him, you're not gonna pull that off, so you really need the 4 smelter wedges. It's a cool mechanic that they added that, but at the same time, if you struggle to find the second spot, well, it's kinda sad, because that means you'll have to go on Google to find the second spot and fight this boss. And since I consider Fume Knight to be the best boss in Dark Souls 2, it can hinder your experience. Now, even without Nadalia helping him, Rame, because that's its true name, is still the hardest boss in the game. From a lore perspective, I find it cute how Fume Knight protects the body of Nadalia as well as her crown, while Nadalia at the same time is using 4 other soul fragments of her to protect him. It's not something we see as much in any other Souls games actually. Anyway, let's talk about the fight. Fume Knight will start the fight with an ultra great sword and a long sword. The combos with the smaller sword are faster and don't leave you with too much stamina to retaliate. If you choose to strike, it's a big risk as you may not have enough stamina left to dodge everything he throws at you after. Taking your time in this first phase is important for that reason, to not lose too many heals before the second phase. The ultra great sword strikes are not too bad here, they're pretty slow and easy to dodge. Although sometimes you may think his combo has ended and he may add an additional strike with the great sword, which can deal a lot of damage. The real challenge of the fight comes when the second phase starts. Imbuing his Fume ultra great sword with darkness and will throw the smaller sword away. After that, the fight changes completely. He now strikes much faster with this weapon, alternating between different combos and 2 new super moves. The first is the easiest to dodge and to counter, it's the imbued swipe. The move is slow enough to let you react easily. You just dodge on the left early and you'll be fine. If you fail to dodge that move, you will die straight up. The other move is the hardest to dodge, is the explosion, where he thrusts his weapon in the ash, create a shockwave with dark orbs erupting from the sword. This move is tricky because you have to get out of range before the explosion, and then you have to dodge the dark orbs coming at you after. It's in 2 parts. As soon as he plunges his great sword into the ground, you need to run away to not get hit by the shockwave. Timing is tight, but it's satisfying once you get it down. You still have to be careful about the dark orbs though. Overall, it's probably one of the most challenging but fair attacks in Dark Souls 2, honestly. Outside of that, be careful when you choose to heal, as he has an attack specifically made to counter that. Basically, this boss is the precursor for all the big and great boss fights FromSoft has done beyond that point. Just look at the Shadow of the Archery boss. They all start with a bunch of combos in phase 1, and they unlock 2 or 3 super attacks in phase 2. Overall, I love this boss. it's my favorite in Dark Souls 2, and it's in my top 10 favorite FromSoft boss. Next, and last boss for today, Sorrowlone, the second best boss fight in Dark Souls 2, in my opinion, of course. Located not far from the second batch of Smelter Wedges, you can find his armor, and you can enter his memories. I used to despise the run back to the boss, but actually taking your time to kill every enemy one after the other makes it really not that bad. I still hate the salamanders, by the way, but at least here they're not moving around, so it's much easier to take them down. And of course, since it's a memory, you cannot take all the time you want to explore everything, or you'll be thrown away. Now for the boss. Sorrowlone is pretty simple. He has a few moves and no second phase, surprisingly, but the speed of the fight is enough to make this a great encounter, in Dark Souls 2 at least. I'm not sure it would be as challenging in Elden Ring, but it works here and it works really well. There is even a special death animation if you kill him without being hit once. The only bad thing in this fight, outside of the run back, is the grab animation. Similarly to the Pursuer, if you get hit by the grab but are not standing right in front of the sword, your character will be teleported onto it, which just doesn't make sense. The hitboxes are fine, the problem resides with the animations. It should be changed, or just make it so you don't get teleported if you get hit. Like, some bosses in Elden Ring actually do that. You can get hit by the grab and take damage without getting grabbed. It's kinda weird, but it can happen. For example, if you jump some grabs, I think you can still get hit without getting grabbed. I don't have any example to show, but off the top of my head like that, I know this can happen. And it makes more sense than getting teleported onto the grab. Anyway, to sum up, the Brume Tower, it's the best area in Dark Souls 2. It's basically the Earthen Peak, but 3 times better. Everything is cranked up to 11. The exploration, the rooms are all different, they are unique, design is great, the enemies are mostly great, some of them I don't like, but it's still fine. The bosses are amongst the best bosses in the game, like you have the first and second best bosses in the game in this DLC. The Ashen Idol mechanic is great. The fact you start at the top and you have to go at the bottom is amazing. The level construction, the shortcuts, everything works, and everything is great. I loved going through that area, and I love going through Shulva, and I wish all the areas in the main game were like this, but it's not the case. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time with Eleum Loyce. Bye!